Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Drunken Gamer News, where we go over recent happenings in the video game industry. I'm your host Mike. I want to start things off this week by apologizing for not having an episode last week. See, when I try to find topics to talk about, I try to look for things that, actually have things that I can make a discussion out of, that I can talk about. So, right now, news is kind of starting to slow down, nothing real big is going up. E3 is coming and all companies are holding back on their stuff until the big event, which is what, 4 weeks from now, I think. So it's gonna be kind of hard to find something to work with in the coming weeks. I'm trying real hard to find stuff that I can actually talk about, so I don't have to actually skip a week or something, or trying to come up with other things that I can do in the meantime. I've got a couple ideas running through my head right now, but for now, let's just try to stick with the news thing, and I'm gonna try to nail down those other activities, I guess is a good way to call it, because I don't have the equipment available to do like an actual gameplay recording yet. So let's just roll with this, and I'll try to find some more news to talk about in the coming weeks ahead. As for my drink today, I am trying something a little bit different. Just a little bit of concoction of Kool-Aid and vodka. Now, normally you'd use something like lemonade for mixing with vodka, but we had like a bunch of Kool-Aid mix in the house still that was actually about to go bad, so I figured why not just use as much of it as I can. And we got some vodka that we never really use for any other purposes, so I figured why not try combining those and see how it goes. I guess the trick is to just, because vodka is such potent shit in the first place, you have to just put a little bit in it, just enough to get that noticeable hint of alcohol in it, but not like that actually overpowering. Cheers. Not too bad, actually. Now then, moving on to our topic of the day, China. China is known for a lot of things. Ridiculous amounts of pollution that is guaranteed to shave 25 years off your life. Censorship to the point where any kind of criticism towards the government is almost grounds for execution. And the birthplace of giant pandas that somehow love poorly made American Chinese food that's been sitting under heat lamps for 12 hours. One other thing that China is known for, however, copyright infringement. The country has established a pretty bad reputation of blatantly copying or stealing various media products for their own use. This ranges from cars to batteries and even fruit. They even ripped off the intro for Game of Thrones for advertising not Game of Thrones, but a Chinese brand of liquor. However, China is especially predominant in video game knockoffs. Who can forget such clever Chinese game consoles such as the Wii, the Game Child, and my personal favorite, the Nintendo Polystation? Even their actual games are blatant ripoffs, such as Team Fortress 2 imitation game Final Combat and their World of Warcraft ripoff World of Fight. The most recent move in China's copyright infringing shenanigans, though, blatantly ripping off World of Tanks with a cheaply made copy called Project Tank, which was in beta on Facebook. They didn't even try to hide the fact they were blatantly ripping off the original game, as even the interface looks exactly like what's present in World of Tanks. So much so that Wargaming made the smart move and was really quick to take the situation to court and file a copyright infringement lawsuit against the company responsible for Project Tank. The best part of all this, though? The company's reactions to the accusations. A statement on the official website, which has been taken offline as a result of the ensuing lawsuit, contains a statement that plays the pity card almost perfectly, saying that we feel truly shocked and bullied by Wargaming, a giant company of the gaming industry who's apparently threatened by a closed beta phase browser game aiming to provide a cheaper, fairer, and more accessible wargame to players around the world. Notice that they never actually deny any of the accusations that were made against them. However, China's video game silliness doesn't actually end there. Even more recently, the ESRB came out and flat out told the Chinese publisher of Wartune to cease advertising of the game that involves glorifying its adult-only rating. Not necessarily because the ESRB is against the rating, but rather the game is anything but adult in nature. In fact, the ESRB hasn't even given the game an official rating. If you've seen advertisements on various websites that talk about the game, they would normally brag about being an adults-only game, when in reality, the game is essentially World of Warcraft clone number 372. The ESRB also noted that it's against their guidelines to use the rating as a selling point, creating a double whammy against the company that hosts it, or companies in this case, as the game is hosted by half a dozen of them. The people behind the game have yet to actually comment on this circumstance, but not only are they using a false ESRB rating to classify their game, advertising it as a false rating is just, well, let's just say it's probably going to be a PR nightmare if they actually had a PR department to begin with. Another funny thing I'd like to point out real fast that caught my attention. If you look at the sample images that they have on the Wartune website, one of the characters is pretty much the spitting image of Jin Kisaragi from BlazBlue. Another case of copyright infringement? Or just really uncreative character design? You be the judge. So, why does China even do things like this in the first place? There's a number of theories flying around all over the place, but one of the more popular ones is because copyright law is structured in a way that foreign companies can't really interact with each other unless they have a base in their home country. It's like a country in one area has to actually be listed on America's rosters or something. It's pretty fucking complicated. I'm a writer, not a lawyer, but essentially this is what Wargaming used to bring their lawsuit against the company that hosts Project Tank, Shangyo.com Limited, which is actually listed on the American NASDAQ. That is how Wargaming can even get their lawsuit in place in the first place. And in any other situation, Shangyo would normally be untouchable. The other problem is that China actually supports all these companies despite all this the copyright infringements, and they generally deny any kind of any such practices. Normally, because China is so obsessed with having this complete image of a completely perfect nation, perfect citizens, yada. Despite the fact that, looking from the outside, it's anything but. But the thing that's important to take into notice here is that because American-based companies and, well, other companies around the world for that matter, have a hard time suing those in a foreign nation, it's especially hard when they can't even get access to enter nations such as China, and then copyright law is generally just thrown out the window in that case. Again, China actually supports these companies that make knockoff products, which makes it even harder to take legal action against them. I mean, everyone keeps saying piracy is the primary threat to the game industry, but that's really only because most of them can't even touch China's vast amounts of infringements. And if they could, the US would probably be able to pay off all the debt that we owe them by simply taking it all back through lawsuits. But hopefully with exchanges like the ones that we mentioned today, especially involving Wargaming and Project Inc., serve to send a message to China. Knock it off, guys! Seriously, stop it. That'll do it for this week's episode. Remember to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to visit the Facebook page to like it and stay up to date for when new videos and trailers for other games go live. Until next time, I'm your host Mike. Have a good one. I swear I'll come up with a better outro one of these days. Promise.